Welcome back, everyone, to the Hill on News Nation. It's a frightening question. How would advances in technology, including biological warfare and cyber attacks, be used in future wars? In an opinion column in the Wall Street Journal about a hypothetical World War III, UC Berkeley physicist and former National Security Advisor Richard A. Mueller writes that a two-front biological and cyber attack could lead to a U.S. defeat before we know what hit us. Okay, on that note, joining us now, NewsNation senior national security contributor, Lieutenant General Richard Newton. General, I mean, is this a realistic scenario? I mean, we've just come through a major historic health scare. Could somebody use a virus like that to attack the United States?
Well, we certainly have, Vic. And, well, good afternoon to everybody. This is a fascinating piece. I went through it several times, frankly. And what Dr. Mueller is suggesting is a two-pronged approach. There's a biological attack aspect of this. Think of a COVID-type attack, perhaps, and then a computer virus attack that could either happen simultaneously or perhaps in tandem. When I was on watch during my 34 years of active duty, and that was 10 years or so ago when I transitioned, but we thought in terms of the conventional fight, the kinetic fight, as perhaps an adversary there would be a hot spot. Yeah. Conventional war would heat up, and then you go into nuclear weapons and so forth, and that is kind of what a World War III scenario would be. In today's world, there are other domains involved. There's ground and air and space and sea, but this cyber world and this health world is a whole different opportunity for, I think, nefarious activity and adversaries to take advantage of, frankly.
General Newton, Scott Bolden here. I read the article as well. Why do you think we haven't seen this on a large scale? The cyber attacks, the health attacks. Why haven't we seen it up to date? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Scott, I think a couple of reasons. Number one, there are adversaries out there in nation states, I think, really don't have the broad capacity to do this on a worldwide scale. Point one. Point two, the whole idea of really harnessing cyber, but also harnessing the biological warfare aspect of this still hasn't come to bear. But to take the point of your question, I think where Dr. Mueller would be coming from, and he didn't state this in his article, but I think we need to think in terms of not this happening, in the next couple of weeks or months or even a couple of years, but this would be more of a 10-year scenario where nation states right now, Scott, however, could be preparing to do just that. Yeah. But it's going to take a long time for them to get to the point where they would be able to effectively engage with a biological weapon and therefore, or in turn, then also a cyber attack weapon.
And General Newton, we hear a lot about the concept of asymmetrical warfare, right? So the United States and some of the major superpowers around the country, I can't remember what the Cold War figure, we could blow up the world 10 times over, 20 times, 100 times, I can't even remember what it is, with the weapons at our disposal now, the conventional weapons and the nuclear weapons. But this is something that a country that doesn't possess those kinds of weapons, that doesn't have conventional military hardware or capabilities, could attack the United States with. So how much of a concern is that in terms of the vulnerability of this country and the population?
Well, I'd be very concerned about that, Vic, because the idea of deterrence that we have now today, say with our strategic bombers and our land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles and our sea-launched ballistic missiles, that's a very robust and extraordinarily capable deterrent and a force to deal with. But on the other hand, with these biological weapons and even a cyber ransom-like attack, you could have a main adversary, and then you'd also have maybe a third-party partner. It won't necessarily be just one country, but it could be other countries. And then there's what they call these non-state actors that are very capable. Yeah. And so you're right, they do provide an asymmetric approach to the strength of the United States, and it could not only be debilitating not only for the United States, but for the rest of the free world as well.
Okay, General Newton, thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.